In the grand finale of our Asian adventure, I'm taking you on a quest for the most absurd souvenirs, including the smelly but oh so intriguing durian chocolates. I'll show you how to have a royal breakfast for just 1.5 zloty. We'll also see if the smartwatch really lasted a month without charging. I'll also tell you how, by plugging an innocent charger into my phone, I blew the fuses and cut off the power to an entire row on the plane. You should know this to avoid the same mistake. Stay until the end, because coming face to face with European reality after 36 hours of travel can be painful. Let's get started.
In the meantime, we're already partially packed, and at 7 p.m. we're heading to the airport. But since I'd like to bring something back for my family, we're here at the store at my uncle's place, where I'll buy those delicious cookies you saw in the previous part. So I'm looking around. We asked my uncle. He said he doesn't have them. He came himself, checked, and said he doesn't have them. These ones don't look very appealing, but we've tried them before, and they're delicious. Walnut? They're really nice fried. The nut flavor is really strong, so they're kind of moist and nutty inside. I'll take these and maybe something else, a snack for the flight.
Just look at these bags. No colorful logo, no marketing campaign, just a simple label with the weight and price. Such artisanal cookies are becoming a rarer sight in Malaysia, systematically pushed out by mass production and sterile supermarkets. To help you understand how deeply rooted this tradition is, I'll add that my fiancé's mother remembers these pastries from her own youth. My fiancée herself also has fond memories of them from her own childhood, and she says their taste has remained unchanged. If any of you remember real fudge candies bought by weight 30 years ago, then you know exactly what we're talking about and why it's worth paying attention to. That lack of packaging, paradoxically, guaranteed that you were paying for a pure, authentic product. That's why if you ever visit Malaysia, I recommend looking for those unassuming neighborhood shops. It's worth trying these local artisanal treats, because they're a relic of the past that the market will soon completely absorb. Okay, listen, we're back from the store.
You can open it. I've already eaten mine, but Uncle also gave us something like this. It's nasi lemak. I ate mine and didn't record it, thinking it wasn't special, but it ended up being incredibly delicious. So you have rice, egg, there's sauce, and here are these tiny fish, because this is nasi lemak, yes, and peanuts. This sauce is delicious, and the whole dish is served like this with a leaf. Enjoy watching. In a regular takeaway wrapper like this, and something like this costs between 1.50 and 2 ringgit, which means it's either just under 1.5 zloty or about 1.7 zloty, somewhere around there. And something like this for breakfast is absolutely brilliant. If you don't feel like cooking, then why not spend just about 1.50 zloty or so? Delicious.
After several more visits to Malaysia, I can say with full confidence that this is my favorite dish. Simple, but incredibly tasty and completely satisfying. Adding spicy sauce, crunchy roasted peanuts, small fish, and rice really does an amazing job here. If you don't feel like cooking breakfast, then why not spend barely 1.5 zloty on something so absolutely brilliant? But time is running out, and our visit is slowly coming to an end. It's around 7 p.m. We're leaving behind the parents' house in Malaysia, dinner, and we're already heading towards Kuala Lumpur. If you've watched the previous episodes carefully, you've seen more than once that the highways are pretty empty. Of course, it depends on the region, but after driving a few thousand kilometers on these highways over the past few years, I can say that it's really nice and you don't really see that many trucks at all. However, we usually drove during the day, but now, well, just see for yourself. After dark, a whole lot of them appear. I've really never seen so many here before. And as it turns out, this is due to local regulations. Entry of trucks onto the main roads around the capital is strictly prohibited during rush hours, so transit drivers wait until after 7:30 p.m., and only then do they set off en masse. If you're planning to rent a car in Malaysia, this might be extremely important information for you. Driving in such conditions, well, it's definitely not super relaxing, but after about 2 hours, we can already see the terminal ahead of us.
We're already at the airport. It's after 9 o'clock, actually 20 minutes past 9. Our flight isn't until 2, so we have plenty of time, probably, so that
we can get something to eat. Do you remember how I mentioned my smartwatch in the first episode? It's a Garmin Crossover Tactical Solar, something like that. I said back then that it's one of the few smartwatches in the world that you can actually trust and not have to take a charger with you on vacation. It shows the temperature here, notifications, heart rate, and it also has physical hands. After 3 intense weeks, it still has 8% battery and shows 3 days of use left. It's true, because of daily use of the backlight and alarms, the battery drained a bit faster than expected. It fell short of the specs, but I'm still a huge fan. I'll leave a link for the curious in the description. The airport in Kuala Lumpur is a huge complex where it's easy to get lost, but it's also a great place to spend your last ringgits before departure. I really like collecting fridge magnets and I have quite a few of them, but this time I decided to look for something different, something that would be an even more unique memory from this trip. Something that will really stick in my memory because of its uniqueness.
I'm gonna check out the candy store's variety of sweets. Of course, with towers, it has 2 Petronas towers. But what interests me the most is something like this. I also recently bought something like this for my family. Of course, durian-flavored chocolate. So it smells like someone threw up. It's an interesting thing, of course. You've seen me eat durian before. So something like this would be worth buying because, in my opinion, it's a really interesting gift. Since you can't get durian itself, then Musa King. Musa King is even more strongly scented, and I think I'll get something like that to try. There aren't many sweets in that box, so I'm thinking of buying something maybe more worthwhile. Here for 30 bucks, but I think it's white coffee. I don't know if it makes sense to buy so much again if no one really wants to drink or eat it and it just goes to waste unless I take the risk. Actually, I see something interesting here that I might go for. There's tiramisu, little balls with durian. I see they weigh a bit. The price is for 150 grams. The price is 25. Probably around 20 zlotys. But there's also this option. This one is cute, really cute. The price, I think I see the price somewhere. There should be something similar. These are durian pralines. The weight is also 150 grams. Maybe I'll go for this one too. Another terminal, and I'm still looking for chocolates. Here, on the other hand, there's also coffee beans that you can grind yourself. Also with the taste and smell of durian. Here we also noticed that there's something called blackthorn. This is the one I ate before. And here is a tester. It stinks. It smells terrible.
I've got the...
But there's such a delicate fuzz from it. I don't know what to say. It's interesting and sweet, and now durian tastes a bit better to me now than it did at first. But I still have the feeling that maybe someone threw something up. So up here is blackthorn, and here is Musang King, which is the one that smells even more unpleasant, or pleasant, right? This is really something you absolutely have to try. The king of all fruits. And Mom, you'll see for yourself. All right, my dear ones, in the end we decided on this one because the box is really awesome. I think I saw the weight here a moment ago, 120 grams. Of course, a bit less. However, I think my parents could display something like this somewhere at their place, behind glass or something, because, you know, there's Kuala Lumpur, there's durian, and it looks nice, yeah. Let both of them try something like this. We started with chocolates, but now we're looking at these little trinkets. Look how much the magnets cost here.
The same magnets with the Petronas towers, which we paid 3 ringgit for at the local market, cost as much as 25 here.
25 is just crazy. Look, they've basically got everything here. The price is a bit higher, like 47, 43. But you see, this is already a bigger package. And it's got this nice soft flesh. At least that's how it looks. Absolutely appetizing. I can still smell it. That sample I tried over there, I feel like I have no idea what I just ate. Or this one. Anyway, here you can really get everything for 32.90, something like that. Also heavy, substantial, maybe I'll even splurge. Because we also buy so many of these pralines. But here I also see, look, something like a bun with durian spilling out. Do you see? You have to take this for your family, for all your friends. Let them try it. You see, basically everything here is made from durian. But it's all really interesting, isn't it? You have a choice. But this isn't it anymore. This is mango. Mango is famous too, right? But you've had it in Poland. This you probably won't find in Poland. Unless someone brings it over. If so, write it in the comments.
But before we fly out, we still have some time to kill, and since we just spent a lot on treats for the family, now it's time to save some money on water. Paying 12 ringgit for a small plastic bottle full of microplastics would be an insult to my Polishness.
Of course, you don't buy water, that's why you have your own bottle to fill it up with water.
Not for free, but almost for free.
There's no need to pay for water. However, we were passing by, we walked right by the fountains and both of them were out of order, turned off, or whatever you want to call it. So we're looking. Well, in that case, there's no point in paying for it. I drink a lot. I need a lot. So I also prefer to have my own bottle, which is healthier than some small plastic ones from someone else. Oh, it doesn't even matter what it's about. I prefer a fountain. So going back to the fountain, it was best to ask the guy. There was someone from screening service. He said C30 that we should go upstairs somewhere and there will be something like that. So we're gonna see if we can get some drinking water for our bottles and actually for our thermoses too. You can see it doesn't work. Work in progress. On both sides, one on the other side isn't working. I also see that blue thing ahead of us.
I'm a fan of thermoses, and I've gone through a whole bunch of them. Most of them, unfortunately, are duds. Either they don't keep the temperature for long, they leak, or they don't have a locking mechanism. Taking something like this on a plane can end up with your luggage getting soaked because when the cabin pressure changes, the stopper just pops out. Recently, we invested in some better thermoses with an elephant logo. They weren't exactly cheap, but for me, this is what you call endgame gear. The coffee stays hot for 12 hours, water with ice stays cold all day, and the excellent insulation eliminates condensation. The bottle doesn't sweat on the outside, so your backpack and electronics are 100% safe and the lock guarantees it's leak-proof. If you're tired of products that fail during travel, I've left a link in the description to the same one we use. And that's perfect.
I drank almost the whole bottle, which means a 1-liter bottle of water. Well, I was really thirsty, and then I filled it up again. We also poured some water into the thermos. You could even get hot water here, so if you want to brew some tea you brought from home or make some instant coffee, that's not a problem. And since we're already at departures, you can see that during our whole stay in Malaysia, we basically used only 4GB. Of course, my parents have Wi-Fi at home, and that's pretty much all we used. When we were visiting family, like at my aunt's or uncle's place, we sometimes used our phones, but nobody connected to Wi-Fi. And for those 10 days, 4GB was more than enough. Of course, nobody was watching YouTube on it, but for regular use and for using RedNote, which is kind of like TikTok, that amount of data was definitely enough.
You really don't need huge data packages to get around efficiently in a foreign country. Buying such a basic data package is almost nothing compared to the total cost of a trip like this, and it completely eliminates the risk of being cut off from the world. So why do I consider having Saili an absolute necessity? Well, we understood this very clearly a few months ago when we were in Morocco. For example, we visited the place where they filmed Asterix and Obelix, Mission Cleopatra. By the way, that's one of my favorite movies. We also saw the village that was used for filming Gladiator and many other productions. It's true that at that time we couldn't enter because they were preparing for more filming, but Morocco is an incredibly interesting country to visit, and you know what? We also used Saili there. Sure, a local SIM card bought at the airport would be cheaper if it was even available, but we landed around midnight and there was no chance to buy such a card. What do you do in that situation? Well, you're left high and dry. With Polish operators, you often pay over 40 zlotys for just 1 megabyte of data when roaming outside the European Union. Just checking the map and directions to the hotel can cost you several hundred zlotys on your bill. And what if you have a prepaid phone? It will drain all your funds instantly, and that's the end of the fun. That's why, if you like to travel, going without internet is pure madness. What's more, Saili has agreements with many operators. If the coverage of one operator in a given region is weak, the eSIM automatically picks up the signal from another operator. If you buy a physical SIM card at the airport, well, you're tied to just one network, and if there's no coverage, you're out of luck. So it's easy to understand why I chose them for my vlogs. When you choose any package for any country or region with my code TMHD, you get a 15% discount. The link is, of course, in the description. And if you're watching this on your computer, you can simply scan the QR code from the screen. So I hope this discount will come in handy for your upcoming trips, and since we've got the internet sorted out and the airport souvenirs and water are safely packed, there's nothing left to do but board and find our seats. Ahead of us is our first flight of over 7 hours to Dubai, and everything would have been great, but right after takeoff, it quickly turned out that I accidentally ruined the flight for my fellow passengers, or at least cut off power to our entire row of seats. Even before taking off, you might notice that there's a small green light shining next to the seat's power outlet. Unfortunately, a moment later, when I plugged my charger in there, the light turned red, so yes, without a doubt, it was my fault. So what happened? Well, I plugged my powerful 200-watt charger into the outlet and immediately blew the fuse. It wasn't a short circuit. Airplane outlets have a very strict power limit, usually restricted to just 75 at most 100 watts. And of course, I didn't plan to draw 200 watts right away. I just wanted to play on my handheld without draining the battery, which would only use about 40 watts. Since the outlet didn't work, those plans went out the window. I could only play as long as the battery lasted, and I just slept for the rest of the flight. Anyway, and this is something you should remember, the problem is that such a powerful brick charges the capacitor right after plugging in, and it does it so brutally that even when I plug it in at home, it can spark. Similarly, more powerful graphics cards that draw 350 or 450 watts can also suck up 700 or 800 watts of power for a split second. That's why in computers we need to have a much more powerful power supply than would theoretically even be required. After that experience, I don't plan to take that charger anywhere anymore, and instead I take a tiny 70-watt Anker charger. It's more than enough to charge a handheld, a phone, and a smartwatch all at the same time. I also take a 160-watt power bank with me because not every plane has power outlets, but they do have USB ports that can charge the power bank. A video on this gear is already on the channel, so check it out. We're in Dubai. We got a little sleep during the flight, but now we have to transfer quickly because we don't have much time to do just that. So we were in a bit of a hurry, but it looks like it's okay because the flight to Dublin has been delayed by 20 minutes, so we have a little extra time. Waiting about an hour for our next flight, we had to kill some time. Since I caught up on sleep on the plane, I could finally turn on the X1 Pro and play a bit. It's a great device for gaming while traveling. Of course, that's assuming you don't break the socket on the plane, or you have a power bank as a backup. At home, even though I have a decent desktop, I often use it to play games in bed or on the couch, but it's really during travel that this device shows its full potential. On this trip, I was able to thoroughly test this handheld in practice, and I see that it can successfully replace my 16-inch heavy laptop. In these shots, you can actually see me using it for work in my parents' new house in Malaysia. And yes, as you've probably noticed, the house is already finished. I showed it to you earlier in episode 5, and the next video from Asia will be entirely dedicated to it. In it, I'll talk, among other things, about exactly how much the entire finishing process cost, and we'll take a look into every corner. So make sure you're subscribed and have the notification bell turned on so you don't miss it. But going back to X1 Pro with the magnetic keyboard attached, it does everything a regular computer does, so why carry something bigger and heavier in your backpack? A 12-core, 24-thread processor, 4 TB of storage, and 64 GB of ultra-fast DDR5 RAM mean that, with specs like these, plenty of desktops are simply less powerful. It may look like an ordinary tablet, but technology has advanced so much that this little device outperforms the vast majority of desktop computers in Polish homes. It's literally insane, yet still pretty understated. This is an excellent option for someone who needs a powerful laptop on the go, but also likes to play games from time to time. The full review of this device is, of course, already available on the channel. I'll put the link in the top right corner for you.
We're already boarding. That's our plane. Oh, here we'll have about over 7 hours.
I was quietly hoping that maybe the electrical system in this machine is a bit different and this time I wouldn't blow the fuses. Well, guess what? I was wrong. In this recording, you can see that the light at the socket is already glowing red. So, congratulations to me. I did it again. I guess I deserve a like and a comment from you for my persistence. Because of this failure, I was forced to use the USB port under the onboard screen, which provided a staggering, mind you, 2 watts of power, although there was quite a surprise here as well. In airplane mode, with the right screen brightness, those measly 2 watts not only kept my device alive, but also allowed me to comfortably watch videos for the rest of the 7-hour flight.
We made it. We're absolutely exhausted. We're already waiting for our luggage. But in the last 36 hours, I've only slept for about 4 hours. And that was just sleeping in a chair. Sitting up with back pain, with neck pain. So I think we'll just take a taxi soon because we really don't feel like riding buses all over the city. Actually, it's 2 buses, but it would take about an hour and a half to get home, even though it's really only 12 kilometers, so it's not much. By taxi, it's literally about 15 minutes, around a quarter of an hour. I'm just checking to see if our bus is coming yet, but I'll go back home. I still have to re-render all that material about the headphones that I mentioned earlier. And that's because DaVinci Resolve is like that, and it failed a few times. So that's definitely something I have to do today because I'd like to upload it tomorrow. Today is Friday. It's almost over. I don't even know what time it is because with all these time changes, I don't know, 7 or 8 hours back since we were traveling east. We were basically flying. So tomorrow morning I'd like to upload it for Saturday, so there's some content. So if you're interested in the headphones video, it's definitely already on the channel. So this is me speaking from the past.
About the future. Something like that. The experience of returning to cool, rainy, and ever-gloomy Dublin after 3 weeks in Asia is always unpleasantly brutal. By the way, I'm not sure if you know this, but YouTube now has this new, interesting algorithm that lets it know exactly what content you, my dear viewer, would like to watch next. Of course, this trick is based on AI, that artificial intelligence which is so popular right now. Anyway, the algorithm claims that you will really like this particular video that you see right now on the screen. Everyone here sees something different. I don't even know what it's showing you right now, so check out this video and see you in the next one.